How goes it, everyone? I am the world famous Fat Kid, and today is a bit of a somber day because we are doing the final week of the season. We are recapping the last week of football, except for the playoffs, which I don't have a horse in that race, but I'll still be watching because, hey, it's football. So, we saved the best for last. It's only by a game, but we finished with a 12-4, our best record of the year. I'm excited about it. It's progress, it's growth. It's only having a losing record twice, and I believe two 500s. So out of 18 weeks, only 4 of them were 500 or worse. I think that's I think that's pretty good. I'm happy about it. I hope you're happy about it. But we'll see, I guess. So, we kicked off this week with some Saturday football. AFC North matchup. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh needed a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. And I mean, unless you are a die-hard Ravens fan thinking your second and third stringers could beat anybody, everybody assumed Pittsburgh would win. It was an ugly game. It was sloppy. There was rain. You could barely see through the camera. But that doesn't matter at the end of the day because the Steelers won. They kept their playoff hopes alive. They needed a little bit of help on Sunday, which we'll get to. Hold your horses. So yeah, I picked Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got the win, 17-10, but it was against backups. So take that for what you will. Next, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts. Win and in. Either one, you win, you're in the playoffs. And Indy. It took them a bit to actually get into a rhythm, and they kept the game close. But CJ Stroud, too much for the Colts. Texans win 23-19. They punched their ticket to the playoffs and the division title, because we'll get to Jacksonville later. Anyway, I picked Houston. We started off strong. 2 games, 2 wins. Let's go. Now, here's the first of my 4 losses because I picked Carolina for the upset. And no. Yeah, that did not happen. Tampa Bay 9-0. Tampa Bay, I don't their weakest opponent yet and probably their worst game of the year. But it doesn't matter. Tampa Bay won. They got the division. They get to host a playoff game. Speaking of that, they're hosting Philly. Yeah, I'll talk about that in my predictions video. Yeah, I picked Carolina and they showed nothing. And that reflected on the scoreboard. So, yay. We're moving on to Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. Cleveland locked in the 5. They're going to rest everybody. Cincy playing for pride. They were eliminated. So what? They came out and they dominated. Again, though, it was a starters versus backups scenario. So Cincinnati went up big. Cleveland scored a couple late touchdowns. 31-14. I picked Cincy knowing Cleveland was going to rest their starters. There you go. Cincy got the win. Bingo, bango, boongo. Next, Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions. This game looked a lot closer than it was because Detroit, I mean, they controlled the game from the jump. They were playing to try to get the number 2 seed, and, well, they won. Only bad thing coming out of it is Sam Laporta had a knee injury, and he will miss a couple weeks. Hopefully we get to see him in the playoffs, but Detroit is hosting against the Rams, which Jared Goff going to Detroit. That'll be interesting. That will be an interesting game. But I selected Detroit. I picked them to win. Of course, they were going to beat Minnesota, right? Those, of course, games. Not so sure. We'll get to that. Next, New Jersey Jets going up against the New England Patriots. Patriots, nothing to play for. Jets, nothing to play for. Pride is on the line. People are saying it's Bill Belichick's final ride, whatever you want to say. It was embarrassing for both teams, honestly, because it was 17-3. Jets won 17-3. Breece Hall, huge game. 36 carries, 174 yards, and a touchdown. But that was it. That was a terrible game. That's all I can say. Terrible game. I picked the Jets. That's the only good thing that came out of it. Right? Right. Then we go NFC South, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints. Pick the Saints. Saints just destroyed the Falcons 48-10. Following day, head coach Arthur Smith gets fired, but everybody kind of assumed that was going to happen anyway. Saints were playing for the playoffs, and, well, they did their part, but nobody else did theirs, so the Saints missed the playoffs. Better luck next year. Join everybody else. Okay, now this we come up to my biggest disappointment of the season, honestly. Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans. Titans controlled the game early. Jacksonville tried to make a comeback, just couldn't do it. I think a boneheaded play late in the game, fourth and goal, I believe, from like the 7 or something. Maybe even closer. And they went for it. Down 28-20. I think they should have just kicked the field goal, played defense for the stop. That way a touchdown would win the game. They went for it, they missed, and Tennessee essentially controlled the ball. Jacksonville got another late drive in them, but it didn't matter. Jacksonville was the biggest disappointment. They ran that division. They were on the cusp, and they lost 5 of their last 6 games. They win one of those, they win one. They go 2-4 in those last 6, they win the division. But they couldn't do it. Also, Derrick Henry, possibly in his last game with the Titans, dominated. Of course, King Henry will do that on his final game. But I picked Jacksonville. They lost. Boo. Missed the playoffs. Okay. Then we go Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals. This was a very close game. Divisional opponents. Arizona trying to play spoilers. And Seahawks playing to get into the playoffs. They just needed Green Bay to lose. We'll get to that later. And Seattle took the lead late, but Arizona got the ball back. Down 1 point, 54-yard field goal attempt. As time expires, Matt Prater misses. Arizona was so close to pulling the upset, and I picked them to win because I thought they were playing better with Kyler Murray. It might have been farther, but ended up missing the field goal. Seattle wins 21-20. There's my third loss. Next up, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers. I mean, Jordan Love threw 2 touchdowns to... Nope, I don't even remember who the wide receiver was. I don't really follow the Packers that much. I don't think it was Reed. It wasn't Watson. Whatever. Green Bay made the playoffs. That's what matters. They won. I picked them to win. Green Bay won 17-9. Bears are terrible. They beat the Raiders, but they're still terrible. And now we get to find out if Jordan Love can handle the playoffs. Next up, probably the worst game of the weekend. Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers. Chiefs sitting everybody. They're locked into the number 3 seed. Chargers, nothing to play for. They're terrible anyway. It ends 13-12. I picked the Chiefs thinking their backups were better than the Chargers. I was right. 13-12. There you go. So, got it right. Moving on, the other AFC West matchup. Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, I'll have more to say about it because I'm a Raiders fan. I'll try to make it short. Both teams finish 8-9. Both teams miss the playoffs. Raiders win 27-14. Crosby going to the Pro Bowl. Well deserved. Chase Stidham all game. Zamir White, great showing, over 100 yards rushing. Jacoby Myers, 2 touchdowns. That's 4 against the Broncos in the 2 games they played. It was a fun game to watch, mainly because it was maybe Antonio Pierce showing that he deserves the job. I'm just a fan. I don't know. I hope he gets it, but there's a lot more nuance to these things than I know. But Raiders win 27-14. Made me a happy guy. I picked the Raiders. Let's go. Then we go to my final loss of this week. My lock, even though the Eagles struggled with the Giants a couple weeks ago, I thought, hey, they'd right the ship. No. Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New Jersey Giants, and the Giants just dominated this game. 27-10. The Eagles are limping into the playoffs. I believe they were in the same boat as Jacksonville. They lost 5 of their last 6. And if they, again, would have won one extra game, they would have won the division, I believe. Or they would have been tied with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys would have still... Whatever. Philly is not long for the playoffs if they play like they have the last month of the season, month and a half. Terrible. Terrible. I know division games are tough, but Philly has struggled with everybody in their division, including the Commanders. That's not... Anyway, Philly lost. I picked them. That sucks. Moving on to the other NFC East. Dallas Cowboys, Washington Commanders. Dallas just handled business. 38-10. They won the NFC East. They're going to host a playoff game. They're actually hosting Green Bay. Yay. I'm ready to talk about that. Yeah, Dallas came on strong near the end, and Philly tripped and fell on their face. That's all I can say about that. I picked Dallas. They won. Go me. Now, for the AFC East division title, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. It wasn't good by either team, honestly. Josh Allen turnovers. I believe he had 3, 2 interceptions and a fumble. But Tua could not get that Miami Dolphins offense going. A punt return by the Bills put them right back into the game, and then all you needed was that one score from Josh Allen, and that was it. Buffalo won 21-14. They pulled the classic Steelers and just hung around the game. They hung around, and then they took the lead and ended up winning. I don't know how well Buffalo's going to do in the playoffs. They are hosting the Steelers, who they just emulated in this last week. I don't know. I'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. So, Buffalo wins the AFC East. Miami, again, struggling going in. I don't think they're going to stick around in the playoffs either. But that was my recap for the week. Again, best week so far. 12-4. I say so far. The season's over. And here we go. I finished 169 and 103. 66 games over 500. I'm happy with that. But we got to improve. Next year, sub 100 losses. That's the goal. I'm hoping. But in any case, that's it for me today. I had fun this season, and we still got a few weeks left for the playoffs. So I hope you'll join me for those videos. It's just going to be a prediction. Each one will get shorter as the field gets whittled down. But until then, you have a wonderful day. Remember, it is what it is. Take care.